Hey, what's going on, deities? Happy Monday. Hope everyone is having a great start to the week. Welcome to another edition of Titan Talk. I'm Isiah Kilgun with me as usual, and we're here chilling because Open Beta 4 went live today, so super excited for people to get their hands on Artemis and all the other cool stuff that dropped this morning.
Yeah, live on schedule with Artemis and the Thor aspect and all sorts of stuff. And it's
three new items, reworked Typhon's Fang. Yeah, lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, lots of quality of life. We went through patch notes on
absolutely.
Friday. So if you are more of a listener or visual person, you can watch back through those, or you can just play the game and see it.
And encounter all that stuff organically, which can sometimes be fun. But
it can until you die to something you didn't know existed.
What
is Thor doing to me? What's going on?
Why am I trembling every 3 auto attacks?
I think so far it actually seems like the update has been one of the smoothest updates, knock on wood, that we have shipped so far. There were kind of like 3 major issues that we're aware of. So I believe Bloodforge.
Yeah, the first one, Bloodforge, it's not currently showing up in the store. That is not intended. We're not quite sure why Bloodforge isn't available for purchase, but the crew is looking into it, and we'll get it back on as soon as we can.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's really a puzzler trying to figure out. It seems like it should be enabled, but it's not enabled. So that's one.
Yep. The other one was we've got some reports that meditation isn't working correctly in Assault, which is a big one. So,
and then people are saying the last one, the penetration changes aren't in. They are in. The text isn't updated, so we need to get the text updated. But all the numbers are correct. Also, I believe that the text is screwed up in non-English versions even more so. I think that a lot of their text is reverted to English by accident. But other than that, seems like it's been a pretty straightforward update. So we kind of want to hear from you guys. If you've played a few games this morning, what do you think? Has it felt good? How's it going? And then other than that, we're just kind of here for questions.
Yeah. We don't really have too much to cover. We just really wanted to get out in front of y'all after Open Beta 4 went live. Get your questions, get your feedback, and hey, we're here for the next hour to chill and talk about Smite 2.
Yeah, that's it. Easy day today. Titan Talk is my alarm. I didn't wake up until just now.
Oh, no.
I missed those days. Now I have a 6-week-old here to make sure I'm awake for that.
Cool. So, chat, what do y'all want to talk about today?
Oh, yeah. Assault with the reroll pool is there.
Oh, yeah. Team bench.
How's that feeling? Yeah, and there are some things that don't work in jungle practice. It's kind of a known issue.
Yeah.
So we always will appreciate jungle practice reports, but if we're more interested if something doesn't work in the real mode, because like there's a bunch of weird things that don't work in jungle practice. Like you can't use VGS commands that use the same letter twice in a row in jungle practice. Yeah. It's the dumb bug that has not been a priority to fix, because why are you VGSing in jungle practice? So. There was a conversation about Thor ult showing up early. It feels bad for the Thor player. So I think this was kind of a bit of discussion, partially intended, partially maybe. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, so I believe what we found is that on one specific graphic setting, it is showing up later than the others.
Yes.
But Thor is with the way that the game is kind of balanced right now, if Thor was able to have the same level of notification on his ultimate landing as he did in Smite 1, it would be almost a guaranteed death every time he landed, right? So I think the design intent was to add potentially a little bit of counterplay to, you can avoid this now, whereas you used to kind of not be able to in Smite 1, because you don't have access to beads as often to be able to get out of being landed on with a Thor ult. Yeah. So I think that currently it's intended that it should be earlier. Is the timing maybe a little bit too early? Possibly. Something we could play with, but it was in a design intent that the timing is slightly earlier than Smite 1. The issue of it not showing up as early on one graphic setting is the broken part, not the ones where it is showing up more early.
Yeah, and I know the design team, they're continuing to discuss and get feedback and kind of look at Thor's numbers. And like you said, there's potential that maybe we could kind of meet in the middle to where it is, where it was in Smite 1 and where it currently is in Smite 2. But just definitely want to take into account Thor's balance and kind of the state of the game and what Smite 2 is as a game right now. Definitely just leave those counterplay measures open.
Yep. Sweet. There's a question about Stygian Beacon, which was amazing in Smite 1. And he talks about returning. I will say that we are continuing to have talks about conquest mechanics. I think that Stygian Beacon was a fun one. Yeah. And we will continue to investigate new ones. I can't say for sure if Stygian Beacon will be coming back, but definitely something we talk about. Question, are there more things planned for tanks? We would love your feedback on how tanks are actually feeling in this update. And we want to kind of like let it ride out for a few days before we are 100% what else is happening. Because we have gotten some early feedback from high-level players that tanks might just feel good now as a gut reaction, right? They might still need a little bit more, but it's possible that the things that we've done in this update get us close enough to where they should be, that we don't need to do some of the bigger things that we've been talking about internally. Tanks should not be like oppressive, unkillable, plus also tons of damage characters, right? But, you know, they should be tankier than they were before. We may be having off far enough, but we just kind of like to hear your feelings about how they are in this update.
Yeah, and if you haven't had a chance to play yet, you know, get some games in and check back in with us on Wednesday's show.
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely give us your feedback.
Yes, there are some solo specific items that we do need. We were talking about items today. So that is something we're aware of. And we also are aware of the bug where when you disconnect, your cast settings get stuck on normal cast when you reconnect.
See some Stone of Gaia enjoyers in chat.
It's almost in. It's Yogi's necklace is basically Stone of Gaia. Why is Mulan's ult useless now? What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
I think it's still good, right?
See, do we have a new graph of God use win rates that we can show? You guys used to do this, and it was interesting. Don't have anything prepped for today, but I can definitely sync with Max. And maybe we can get something for Wednesday just to kind of give the community a little bit of info into, you know, kind of who's performing well and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do need to get Max on again soon. He's been working on a lot of stuff in the background. There's actually been quite a few matchmaking changes that he's been pushing all weekend long to try and address some things that we saw popping up. I'm not intelligent enough to speak about those in the way that he can, but yeah, definitely a lot of work going on there. And the mushroom should not be pickable in Assault anymore. If you are able to find it, let me know what happened.
Yeah. I know there was a bug about it being available in a specific auto build, but I think that got addressed as well with this patch. But yeah, if you're still able to get it, let us know, and we'll look into those situations and get it fixed up.
Yeah, the item store work is going on nowish. So I believe OB5 should have more of the item store improvements. I don't know how far we'll get in this 2-week sprint, but that should be the start of the updates, and we'll see how far we go.
Do we have any update on getting a notification if an action has been taken on a player you reported?
It is not on the roadmap yet, but it is something that we want to get to. It's just hard to prioritize against some of the other stuff that we're trying to get done first.
Can we talk about why we can't pick unknown gods from the assault bench when it's fine to reroll into unknown gods?
There was a design reason behind this. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it's because you can already reroll into another god. So you have the opportunity to play another god that you randomly reroll into. And we wanted to still have like some elements of randomness in Assault, right? It shouldn't be perfect team comp every time.
Right.
Because if it is, then that's kind of not fun, right? Like part of Assault is that nobody's playing with the perfect team comp, right? So I think that, but like you can reroll, you could pick the one that you rerolled into, but you just can't pick ones that you don't own that you didn't reroll into, is my understanding. So it was intentional. I probably didn't do a very good job of explaining the reasoning because I was not the person who designed it, but that's from what I recall of the conversation. A Hades buff. I've been winning a lot on Hades recently. I don't know what the stats are, if he's good or bad, but we'll have to ask Max. Wheelish will not be shipping earlier. She will be shipping next week. We really think it's important that new content comes out every week to keep people interested and engaged and coming back for more. I know it's annoying having to wait for something that is in the game and done, but we really think it's a lot better for keeping players engaged.
Yeah. Let's see here. I saw a good question. Are we looking into aspect data across various modes? Seems like Hecate aspect is very potent in modes like Joust and Assault.
It is good. I would say we're looking into that kind of thing, but I don't have any specific plans for it right now. There was a question about tab bug fixes. I'm curious what the bugs that you're talking about are. I know that there were some fixes that were in OB4, but if you're still seeing things in OB4 that aren't good, let me know and we can address them.
Yeah, I know the tab screen got some work this update, so it's very possible that something got messed up with it.
Yep. Afro or Troll, if there are certain skins that you see that you are seeing an issue with, please let us know what those are, because I couldn't tell you which ones those are that are causing an issue. Tab breaks when you press the 3 dots or click a god. So basically the auto closing when you release tab stops working. You have to push escape to close it.
Okay. No.
Yep. Awesome.
When is the next 2x Worshipers, and can it not be party up? So I believe the plan is for there to be a 2x Worshipers event this weekend. So that will be the next one, and it'll just be base 2x Worshipers, and it won't be party up. So look forward to this weekend. Hop in and get some games in. Is there a patch going out to fix Artemis's AO2? Currently, when you get the reset proc, it only resets up to the first level of the ability.
I know there was some discussion about that ability in chat this morning, like in our work chat this morning, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to take a picture of that one because it's a longer thing that I'm going to type right now. But I can ask after the show. Is there any drawback to queuing with friends who are dramatically different ranks from each other in ranked? There is. You're basically like you are match made, I believe, as though you are the best person.
Yes.
So you're going to get harder matches, and also your MMR will reflect kind of the fact that you are in a party.
Yes.
So there are changes to how much you move up or down based on that.
Will there be a roadmap after Bari? Yeah, I think the plan is once we get past Bari, we'll do another show to where we talk about the next handful of God releases in the pipeline post Bari. Don't know how many gods we'll talk about in that show, but yeah, there'll be a rough timeline.
I can talk about this one. This is a longer answer. I feel like we've had a lot of just like quick hits today so far. This week on Reddit, there was a post showing a post on ArtStation of different times of day originally planned for Joust. And a lot of people really liked the dust night lighting as it made a lot of the crystals and magic stuff stand out more. Why was this not picked or made the community vote for it? Will this ever come back? The problem with this particular art style is that it looks really good in screenshots. Mm-hmm. It is not good to play on. Every time we have ever shipped a darker map, every time any game in history has ever shipped a darker map, people don't like it. It's not as much fun to play on darker maps. There are some people who are like, oh no, but I like dark maps. That's a small percentage of the player base. Most people find dark maps to be depressing. And it just like, there is a statistical correlation that people will play the game less if the map is dark. Mm-hmm. And so the art team really liked that dark version of the map, and they mocked it up because they thought it would look cool. And it did look cool, and it looked good in screenshots, but it just didn't play very well. And we had kind of all the same concerns that we've always had about dark maps. Like, I think that that there was one Conquest map we did a while back for Smite 1 mm-hmm. that was a little bit darker. Yeah. And everybody hated it, and it performed the worst of any Conquest map we've ever done. Yeah, we tried it a couple times
in Smite 1, the Season of Souls map, and then even going back to, gosh, I forget the name of it, but it was a Conquest map that had like the vines on it back in Smite 1.
Yeah, and then like the newest Chinese Joust map also is like a little bit darker, mm-hmm. reddish, and also people didn't like that as well. Like in like multiplayer games, that are focused on like clearly seeing your opponent and reading what they're doing and whatnot, like daylight is almost always the best option. And if you look at, games that do kind of day-night cycles and stuff, even in those, like, it gets darker, but it doesn't get as dark as it really would in kind of like a nighttime setting, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why we didn't go down that route. Like, I think it looks great in screenshots. The art behind it is amazing. If I was making an art station showing off my work, I would definitely put it up there, right? But it's just in terms of actual gameplay, it wasn't as good. Yeah, it's a good note. This isn't an RPG, right? If I was playing WoW or something and I go through kind of like the dark, moody zone, I'm like, oh, this is cool. But if it's like, I'm going to be playing on this dark map 8 hours a day for the rest of my life, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I can't do it, Assault is a much brighter map in Smite 1 than this is. Like, I can understand you're saying, oh, this was a dark map. That was still lit like it was daylight. It just had darker things happening around it. Whereas this map, to make it work, especially with like UE5, is like night. It was just darker, right? Like, because of the way that like the lighting works in UE5. I'm not a lighter. I can't explain it. But that map is lit almost like a daylight map. It just happens to have darker things around the edges, right? And similarly, like I was looking at like what's that new that League of Legends fighting game, 2XKO. Yeah, they had some gameplay recently of like a stage that they had done that's like it's like a dock at night or something. And very similarly, like the actual core play space is lit like it's daylight, and then behind it everything looks dark and night. Yeah. So something like that is is potentially doable, but then it's still like the core play space needs to be lit like it's daylight, and it's very difficult to balance those things together in a 3D world in UE5 the way that lighting works. I agree that like the assault map should be different than the conquest map, right? I think everybody's on the same page with that. It's more just like how do we approach that in the right way? Make every character carry a torch. Great idea. Are the chests out this update? The chests are out this update. So if you want to buy them, buy them.
Yeah, I believe you just click store in the top, and then there's a feature tab, then a chest tab, and then the Founders Editions tab.
I've seen this question pop up a couple times with splitting the scoreboard into 2 columns matched by roles. It's not something that's on our roadmap right now, but it does kind of keep coming up. So I can pass the note along. I think that it would be hard to get all of the functionality in there. And the other thing is that like the icons would become so small that it would be very difficult to read on console. Just because things need to generally be larger to work on TV screens. But I mean, it's something we can talk about, but it's just nothing that we're planning on right now.
Do we have any updates or news on the console disconnection issues? My ranked duo partner cannot play ranked anymore due to those disconnects.
When did that start for you? Was what I would like to hear. And where are you located?
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things that I need to hear. People play on TV screens?
Oh, yeah.
More than half of our player base plays on TV screens. Yes, the Domination map was dark, and nobody liked Domination. I think that's part of why Domination wasn't a success, is because the map was too dark. Yeah, we're aware that Oboe Rama aspect is an issue. That's something that's on our to fix list.
There appears to have been some anti-proxy tech implemented in today's patch, but it wasn't mentioned in the patch notes. Was it intended for this patch? I know there was some discussion about that potentially being something.
The minions getting stronger
Maybe
as they pass
in. Yeah. We'll have to check with the level design team. And if it did go in, I should probably write a blog or a news post or something with all those rules just to get out into community. But I will confirm that is something that the team has been discussing and prototyping. So I will double check to see if it was actually intended to go out in today's update, and if it was, we will get patch notes updated and tweet it out to let everybody know what those changes are.
Yep. I believe that it was like the way that it was working was that minions got like protections that then they lost stacks of those protections as they passed through towers.
Yeah.
So in our internal testing, but I don't know if it was supposed to go live or if it did go live.
Yeah.
But we can follow up. Is there a reason why the interact button hasn't been implemented into any old Smite 1 designs the way it has into Smite 2 exclusive gods? Something like Umoja's water boost for allies. Should IMO work with an interact? I'll say that we have tested with a lot of the gods that we've brought over. So there was a Jingwei knockup was tested as a thing that like she could interact with, or teammates could interact. I don't remember if teammates can interact with, or Umoja. We tested that, I'm pretty sure, but it just didn't feel right in the flow of the character's kit. So it's not that we're opposed to doing it. It's just finding the right moment to implement it where it feels like it's made the kit better and not just we had a new toy and we're trying to force it into the kit. I think that for Umoja's in particular, it was you did not want to stop to interact with it to use it most of the time. Like it felt like it was a much worse ability if you had to actually stop to interact with it when you wanted to use it. And so then it was like, okay, well, we'll make it shoot you farther if you do, but now I can get interrupted while I'm interacting with it. And it's just, which is when you're getting chased is when you most don't want to stop to interact with it. So, I think it's an interesting new tool that we just need to find the right places to do it. And I see the people posting about Pele +1. I don't have any updates on Pele today, but I hear you that some people still don't like the Pele +1. Are we unable to make an instant interact that works while moving? I don't know. Maybe we could, but still, I think it just feels more awkward if you're going to do that. If you're going to do that, then why not just have run into it, do the thing, Is there a Mulan +1? Yeah. Mulan came out a while ago. She's got a flag that she plants. Yep. And your teammates move faster towards it and gain more experience while in the radius.
Yep. She got some +1s on her ultimate as well for, once you get all those weapons mastered, you've got different elements of the ultimate that you can upgrade as well. Like you can turn in the sword stance. I forget what the other two are, but she had a good amount of +1s.
Why is there no green buff in Conquest? Support is now the only role without a dedicated buff. I would say like buffs are a little bit different in Smite 2, right? Because you can pick up multiples. And I will say in most games I'm seeing, like certain people are picking up multiple buffs a lot of the times. And it's not like Smite 1 where everybody has a buff that they always get. Yeah. And I think we were trying to, when we were initially designing this map, we were trying to push more towards that where it's like, it's less of a fixed, there's always going to be a meta, but it's less of a fixed, like everybody has to pick up their respective buff start meta. I think that the green buff did do some interesting things and it could definitely come back at some point in the future, but I think that's why it didn't initially make it into the game. Yeah. Jungle always takes my red buff. Well, as long as they carry with it, then it's okay.
Right,
if they don't, then... Oh, there was that question about I should follow up on that about changing Umoja to be Orisha of Rivers and Baron to be Loa of versus God. I will ask about that one again. I don't remember what the community or what the design team thought about that. I'm just gonna take a screenshot because once again, as my boomer ways will require me to.
Yep. Will we eventually allow modding for like custom HUDs, overlays, etc.?
We are investigating things that would allow people to create like user-generated content in certain areas. I don't believe HUD is specifically an area that we're looking at yet, but it's theoretically something we could do in the future. Bari will probably be next week, I would assume, because we will probably start flash testing her next week.
Yep. And that's our show, not the release.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we will show off Bari next week because we will start flash testing her next week.
Are there more skins coming along with the Awelish release? I don't think there are going to be any new skin releases next week. Just Awelish.
Probably some more balance as we work our way through this update.
Will wards eventually get the Smite 1 sound when detecting enemies rather than the normal ping?
I will check on that. I have too many notes on this document. Okay.
Yes, we are aware that meditation isn't healing in Assault Dargus, and the crew is looking into it. Let's see here. Because we only got one aspect this patch, will we get 2 or 3 the next patch? I think it's kind of hard to give you a hard, clear number of aspects per patch. We've talked a lot about it on this show, but I think the design team is just trying to find a healthy balance between, new gods, ported gods, aspects, new items. So you can expect aspects, items, gods, in any sort of combination for bigger patch releases, but it's not to say that, hey, every patch is going to have 2 aspects or 3 new aspects and stuff like that.
And a good note on the, we had it on the to-do list about getting, so on the recent damage taken death recap kind of thing, it doesn't show you what damage actually killed you. And we had a design for that, but I don't know when that is getting implemented. Yep. So I will follow up on that.
How are you guys feeling about the Wandering Market release? Is it performing / receiving the reception you were hoping for? I've heard a lot of people like this system.
Yeah, no, I think it's performing really well, and people are really liking it. I think it's I'm trying to think of how to explain this in a non-game devy way. More people are choosing to buy into the Wandering Market than I think any battle pass in Smite 1's history, in terms of like percentage of people that have bought into it. Maybe, maybe not in terms of like raw number of people, but in terms of percentage of players that are buying into it. And the other thing that's been really interesting to see is that normally with like Smite 1 battle passes, we would sell a ton on day 1 and then very few after it, right? And more people are choosing to buy in later in the process, which is great, which is kind of what we want to see with this thing. So I think it's working really well. We're hard at work getting the next one ready. I think I approved some voice actors for it this week.
Nice,
so,
cool.
Maybe it was last week. Today's Monday. Yeah. Probably last week then. Things are going. Yeah, I think like people are there's some just kind of general like monetization stuff. Like the way we see monetization is that like you need to have different things to buy for different groups of people, right? And the Wandering Market should be if I am playing this game, I am dumb if I'm not spending $5 or $10 every 2 months to buy the new one, right? And it should just be a no-brainer purchase for everybody that we're getting some small amount of money for people that are playing the game every couple months. And then we need to have other things that are, more expensive, more like luxury goods for people that are willing to, that want more stuff, that are willing to spend more money in a month to spend their money on. It's not that we're trying to, abuse people's wallets or anything or do shady stuff, right? Like, I mean, we could have bottomless chests where you roll duplicates and, you have a 0.01% chance of getting the thing that you want and all that. We don't do that, right? But as a free-to-play game that only makes its money from people, choosing out of the goodness of their heart to give us some money because they want to buy some skins or whatever, it's important that we also have that kind of like next level of extra stuff you can buy if you want to, right? And I think that like chests are part of that. We added chests in this update, and we'll probably add, more things like that in the future where it's like, we expect most people will want to buy the Wandering Market. Then some people will want to buy, some chest skins or direct purchase skins. And then, it's Smite 1. It was like, and then we had like these, tier 5 events and stuff that were an even smaller percentage of the player base would buy into, but they were happy when they did. You want to give us money? Yes, I would love your money.
About mastery skins, could we make it so that we can change the colors of the god abilities VFX instead of using the basic effects?
So, not right now. Maybe at some point in the future. If we kind of use the Smite 1 mastery and recolor skins as kind of our template for this, right? And those ones work the same as they do in Smite 2, where they change the color of your basic attacks, but not of your abilities. Yeah. We're actually working on a new system that should make it easier for us to just change the color of abilities if we want to go that route. So theoretically, it's maybe something we could do in the future, but I'm not committing to it at all because I think that you're already getting a lot of value and good stuff for the skins, and for us to go back and do all that work would be time consuming. Just a question about can we pin items in the item store so we can create our build in the beginning downtime? We are working on a item builder system. It's still a little ways out, but we will have a better system where you can create your own builds and also share builds and take builds from the community, and just generally have a lot more guidance as you're trying to build through the course of the game.
Why does the game take my gold and waste my consumable when I don't have room to store them? For example, I accidentally buy a mana potion on Vulcan, but I don't have any room because of my mod.
Does it not give you... So historically, the way Smite's worked is that if your inventory is full and you click to buy a consumable, it'll just use it. Yeah, so if you buy a mana potion, you don't even get the mana regen. It just takes your money. I can agree that you probably didn't actually mean to buy it, but they're two separate things. Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand what the actual issue is. It consumes it, but because you're in base, it has no effect but it does use the item. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good to know. But it's more of a don't let me do this versus it didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically only like power potions you would want to be able to buy that way. Is that correct? Because you still, if I don't have an inventory slot, I should still be able to buy
a 3K pot.
A 3K pot, right? Okay. I can add that to my list.
When you filter by worshippers and then click L3 or R3 to go to the next god, it switches to alphabetical rather than worshippers. Because that's just a bug report on the god screen.
Yep. Are there any guests planned for this week or next? Yeah, I think Kellen's going to be on either this week or next week to talk about music stuff.
Yep.
I'm going to be flying solo on Friday and Monday.
Yep.
Isaiah's on vacation. So
you got to find some guests.
I got to find some guests for Friday and Monday. I'm not sure who it's going to be yet, but there will be me and a guest on Friday and Monday, and I will be pushing the buttons on the laptop. So if I break things during the stream, please be forgiving. I will be doing my best.
Yeah. Mulan doesn't shoot at the end of her ult. I played today and had 10 times. It only shot once. So you can look into that.
Yeah, that's not a good one. Okay.
Opwash says he volunteers to be a guest on the show. So.
See, but I cannot do. I'm not smart enough to be able to do the calling in somebody who's not physically here. Why do some mastery skins change the hair color and some have it remain as default? I think it's really just like artistic choice of what they think will look best for the god with that color pattern. No hard rules about it. It's just artistic decisions. Ability to highlight all items in shop, not just ones you could buy. Why would you want to do that? And I'm not calling you out. I'm just help me understand the use case for why you would want that. Oh, you guys want to do live viewer call-ins on this show? Yeah. I feel like I'm going to get pulled down from. I need like on Real Radio. There's like somebody with like a dump button, and the shows run like on a delay to where if people start saying horrible things, you can cut them out. We don't have enough people. It's just us. We are the show, so that'd be a little hard to do. We could do the. We could do like Blue's Clues and we got the mail.
Right.
And, we do like pre-recorded video questions from people. That'd be funny.
Cool.
Why do you want to remove the Mulan flag at level 20? It still gives your team a movement speed boost. You can use it to block autos, and the XP is not useful, but the other parts I think are still useful. Problem with the option to be able to move while the shop is open, even if the option isn't clicked, sometimes I can still move while being in the shop. That is interesting. I will look at that. Long question means take a picture of my screen.
Yep. Let's see here. Can we make Vulcan's Thumper and Mulan's flag an active and not a consumable?
Not easily, because it needs to take up an inventory slot then. So it would need to. No, your English was fine. I understood the question. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that bug, Captain Mestima. So you did great asking the question. I don't know the answer to it. So basically it would fill up an item slot instead of a consumable slot, which has its own issues. Yep.
Can you add on the tab screen how many hits you took and dealt, like in Smite 1, please? Like 1,500 damages from 3 as AA isn't the same than from 5 auto attacks. I know we have the recently damaged screen, but that's only incoming damage, right?
Well, and what he's saying is that basically it's not a damage log anymore. It's very intentionally like, I took this much damage from this source.
Yeah.
So you don't know, did I get hit by Artemis three times or one time?
That's true.
And she crit. I think that is one of the drawbacks of the current system, but we think that overall there's more positives with the current system than the drawback of not having the direct combat log, because it makes it so much easier to understand what the source of the damage was. And does it what's going to help you to play better and react to the situation better? Is it knowing that this person shot me 3 times and that's why I died? Or is it this person did this percentage of my life as damage with this ability? Yeah. I need to not let them auto attack me. So that was the design intent there. It is a different functionality, and I understand what you're saying. I don't know how we can combine the two. Yeah. So I can ask. Yeah, maybe there's a way to do it. Sorry, I'm trying to design live.
Yeah. Are we aware that Achilles can become immortal? I played him earlier, and I had War Flag, Prophetic, Fully Stacked, and Reaper, and I was taking 0 damage when gods were hitting me. Can take a look. I haven't heard anything about Achilles.
I've not heard about
being
Achilles
crazy,
being immortal.
Yeah.
I'll take a screenshot of that one, by which I mean a picture with my phone. Okay. The equip to all button is still on our to-do list. We have not gotten to it yet, but we are aware that people want that. An internal community-driven God Builder would help new player retention a lot. Thoughts? We agree. Yeah. That's why we're making it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, it's just a really big feature. So we initially were hoping that we would have it done for January, but a bunch of other stuff came up as priorities, and it's just, still working on it, but it's going to be a little bit further out.
It looks like the role system is broken. I'm in a ranked lobby right now, and no one's role shows up. Then suddenly, everyone is given fill.
I have not seen this happening yet. Has this happened to other people in chat, or is this just a one-time random thing?
Dr. Grant
I
says
had it yesterday too. This happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
It happened yesterday. Okay, so this is
It's not just a.
it's not a new
patch
bug.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know. I mean, not good that it's happening, but good to know. I've seen it in past patches. Hasn't happened to me for a while. Okay.
We'll take a look at it.
Yes.
Appreciate the report.
Yeah. No role fill bug. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people in chat have run into this issue, so you should definitely take a look at it.
Yeah, I have not seen this once, and I play regularly. That's been my experience, but it doesn't mean that that is,
Right,
everybody else's experience. So one of the joys of multiplayer games is that, like,
Yep.
There's so many little things that can contribute to your individual experience. Yeah, if there's people, I've seen people randomly saying there are some Xbox crash things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we can see says that our Xbox crash rate is lower than Smite 1's ever was. So if you are in, for some reason, in some weird state where you're crashing a lot on Xbox, I would try like uninstalling the game completely and reinstalling it, or let us know if there's anything specific that you're seeing.
Yeah.
But we get like crash logs from Xbox for when there are crashes, and like we work through them if there's something that pops up that has a considerable amount of people crashing on it. So I don't like it. It's possible it's something very unique to your setup, or like we're interested in addressing it, but I'm not familiar with it. There's a question about new or wider assault map and timing. I don't have a timing of it. I think it's something we know that we need to get to. But yeah, I don't have a specific timeline on it.
Following up on the shop highlighting question, I always start by clicking on tier 3, so I'd like to be able to see all of them clearly.
Sorry, say that again?
I always start by clicking on tier 3, so would like to be able to see all tier 3 items clearly.
Interesting. I can see it. I don't know. I would have to look into it. I don't know how many people it's affecting, and it would probably just have to be like a new setting that you could turn on. Not trying to discount it. I'm just trying to think if it's like something that is like a top priority kind of thing right now as we're working through.
Since aspects can help gods fill other roles, are there plans to add those gods to those role tabs as well?
There is, I believe, some talk about adjusting the list of gods in the roles tab.
Cool.
But we probably do need to do a pass on that. I can answer this one. Have you thought about doing a community voted brand new god release list, like 5 or so gods, and have the community vote on who they want? I thought this was going to be a ported god list, but no, this is a brand new god list. I will still answer the question. The big issue is just the amount of time it takes to make these things, right? So from start to finish, making an all new god is probably about 6 months of work. It may be a little bit more, a little bit less. It depends on the god. And it's like, because of those timelines, when we have to start talking about something publicly, it's like there's going to be other content that releases after it. And it's going to feel old by the time it finally comes out. They're like, oh my God, these guys are finally releasing this thing. We've kind of had this same thing happen with the old tier 5 skin votes that we used to do, where it was like, well, if we had to start, 6 months early to get this thing in, people are like,
Yeah, even with some of like the old God release campaigns, like I just remember the Hera campaign and like how we spent a lot of time going through the development of Hera, and then by the time she released, players were like, oh man, it's kind of old news right now, right?
Yep.
Like,
so I think it's like it's we find it's better to try and keep people focused on like one thing at a time, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like for a long time, which is kind of like our current strategy is we're just shipping a ton of shit all the time.
Yeah.
And you're getting this week we're talking about Artemis. Next week we're talking about Awilish, that kind of thing. Versus we're going to be talking about this one god the community is working on for the next 6 months, and you're just bored with it by the time it comes out.
The profile causes a crash because it's so slow on Xbox.
Yeah, I have the note about profile being very slow to load on pretty much every platform. It's not just Xbox. But I was not aware that it's actually causing crashes, but we are profiling that and trying to figure out what's causing it. I think this 6 months one-man work or 6 months a whole team work for a god, it is a lot of people working on it over the course of 6 months. It's not the same team of people working on it every day for 6 months, but a new god goes through like a whole pipeline, right? Where it's like, okay, well, first we need to like ideate what the god is going to do. And that's like mostly design and, kind of like leadership and production, getting everything set up and yada, yada. And then it's like, okay, well, what is the god going to look like? And then it's like, okay, well, the concept needs to be made. And then we need to start 3D modeling it. And then once the 3D model is made, then we have to rig it, which is putting in the virtual bones. And then once the virtual bones are in it, then we have to animate it. Yeah. And then once it's animated, we need to put in the FX and the audio. And somewhere in the course of that, you need to actually do the blueprints coding work to make it be able to do the abilities. And then there's a lot of like back and forth in those last few steps between FX, audio, coding,
design,
animation to get it feeling right and to try different abilities and see what's working. So the whole process start to finish, because it touches so many different departments, takes about 6 months. No firm update on who the next gods to receive aspects are. Other than we do have one in progress for Baron that we teased earlier. We haven't said what it is, but there is one. It's kind of a little bit lighter, but I think fun for Baron that's in development that will probably be an OB5, but could slip again. It was supposed to be an OB4, but it didn't quite work right. Yep. So back to the drawing board a little bit.
Will any Norse gods appear in future updates? Yeah, we have a lot of Norse gods from Smite 1 that we have yet to port over. So the plan is to, get every Smite 1 god into Smite 2 at some point. Yep. So definitely look forward to a lot of existing Norse gods from Smite 1 making their way to Smite 2.
I think, like, in terms of the specific god requests that we get a lot of every show, I'll just say, like, every god is somebody's favorite.
Yep.
Right? Some gods have more people with, saying it's their favorite god than others. But, there are always going to be some people who are like, man, I want that god. And every time a god comes over, it's making one group of people happy and another group of people mad because it's not their god yet. Mm-hmm. We're getting through them as quickly as we can with quality. And hopefully you guys are enjoying seeing them come out at a pretty good pace. Delete Nox, though.
there would be a lot of people that would be upset about that, right?
She is incredibly popular. Like, people like to hate on her, but she is, in Conquest. I think like high level Conquest, she was never actually very popular. But
she had a stint in support for a while. Yeah,
but any non-Conquest game mode, she's always been hugely popular, and even casual Conquest, she's played a lot. So. Sorry, I was responding to a specific god, which I know I should never do because then it just leads to more god things. But it's funny to talk about Nox. Hardest god to port that has not been ported yet. almost certainly is King Arthur. King Arthur has a ton of unique tech to him. Part of it is just the way he does his auto attacks. So he is the only god in Smite that uses root motion auto attacks, to where if I'm here and my person that I'm trying to attack is here and I push auto attack, I will move forward and hone in on that person. He's the only character that works that way. And that's a ton of tech by itself. Yeah. Plus he's a stance switcher, so there's twice as much animations and FX for him. Plus his ult has a lot of like weird tech that makes it look right. He is a very difficult god to do, and he's been on the calendar to do 4 times already, and we keep pushing him back. He was initially supposed to come out at the same time as Mordred. We were going to do a dual release of King Arthur and Mordred, and that was the plan. And then it was like, oh, we just don't have enough time to get King Arthur in. So we will. He's not going to be the last god by any means. He's super popular. We need to get him in sooner than later. But that's the only reason why he's not already in the game, is because he's so difficult. Yeah. I'm sure there's other gods that have elements of difficulty that I'm just not thinking of, but King Arthur is just the first one that comes to mind. Is there any estimate for when we plan on adding recall skins? I think we've been talking about other cosmetic types, but I don't have a firm ETA on when we're going to do them. The only thing that we've said is that music packs should be coming in OB5. And it's possible, always possible it ends up in OB6 or something instead, but we are targeting OB5 for music packs.
We need to give different proposed auto builds for characters when they're chosen with an aspect or not.
I think you're right. I think that there was some intent of that, but it's not fully explained. And this will just all be solved by community builds.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. I got that one written down. Thoughts on bringing down the cooldown of Blink a little bit. Blink is still really good, even with the current cooldown. It is fun to blink, but it is incredibly powerful. And I think the problem that we see with Blink is that as much fun as it can be as an engage tool, a lot of times it's just a get out of jail free tool, and it actually leads to like less fights than more fights. So putting it on a shorter cooldown would probably, though the aggressive people in chat are like, no, I just blink in all the time. Most people blink away most of the time. And we like kills. Kills are good. This game is about fighting.
Can AI kill stats not be merged with matchmaking kills?
I don't. So I don't think that we should punish people that like playing versus AI.
Yeah.
If you're putting in the time to play the game and you prefer to play against AI, cool, right? We've had this kind of discussion internally a lot about like, where do you draw the boundary of like, oh, can I only get to a certain mastery level but playing against AI or whatever? And most of the time the discussion just comes back to like, dude, as long as you're having fun playing the game, who cares, right? Like, it's all just, made up numbers anyway. To some extent. I mean, they're real numbers, but it's not like people are paying for the numbers. Like they are putting in the time, even if the numbers maybe are slightly inflated because they're getting against AI. I don't think it's, I understand the concern, but I don't think it's a major thing that we're upset about right now. I blink away mid-air ult, dragging them into my team. That's good. That is the correct use of blink. Yes.
After I spectate a match, the next game is always in spectator POV, making me miss my real match. Only fixed after a hard game reset.
That's interesting. I have not heard that. I will add that to a note. Probably just not a lot of people using spectate, so we didn't get that before. Okay, I'm just gonna take a picture of that too. I got a lot, dude. I had so many bug reports. This is great. The team will not be happy that I bug reports.
Okay, what did we talk about today?
Will we ever get branching starting items like in Smite 1? So the new system, once you get your head around it, is a better version of that. Because the problem with the Smite 1 branching starter items is that I build a starter item and it will only end up as one of like 4 potential end items. So you really can only build from the tier 3, and you're like, I'm going to start with, I know I want to build Hydras or whatever, so I'm just going to build whatever the tier 1 is that gets to that, right? The new system is much more branching, where it's like, I build an axe and it gives me strength, and then I can build into literally any item that has strength. So it lets you leave your build a lot more open when you can only afford a tier 1 or tier 2 and not have to commit to, I want something from this specific tree. It's like, I need some strength. I need some cooldown. I can buy a ring and an axe, and then I can figure out what the hell I want to turn that into later. Yeah. Right. Obviously tier 3s are still more powerful. You want to be working towards tier 3s, but this system lets you be a lot more flexible and creative with your builds as you're working through things. Oh, he means starter upgrades. Oh.
Well, your answer still works for
my
regular
answer
item
is
buildings.
correct. Yeah. But we have talked about adding second starter item upgrades, not in the near term, but it is something we have talked about. Yeah. Sorry. Also, the one guy who wants us to bring back boots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, chat. Yeah. I misunderstood what you were asking for. But yes, that is something we've talked about. We want to give Discordian execute. I don't know about that one. But it worked for Sobek, so maybe. I have stutters in game every time I see a new god. Normally, the more I play, the less stutters I have. So this is due to one of the not good things about UE5, which is shader compilation. So we are currently pre-compiling most shaders at the start of the game, but we are not pre-compiling all of the shaders. And we have some work to do before we can pre-compile all of the shaders reliably. Yeah. That's what leads to, like, if you stutter the first time you see or hear something, that's the shader compiling. And then once it is compiled, it does not need to compile again, so it doesn't do it again. So that is what causes that. And we are aware of it, and we are working on it, but that is the technical reason why that's happening.
Tekokage does not proc for Loki 3. If you cancel it quickly, old bug. Also, the item that reduces ult CD does not appear in the max mana category. Okay, I believe. Gosh, what's that?
Worldstone?
Worldstone. That's the name of it. I know Tekokage got some changes today, and I think there was a bug report around it. So I'll have AJ take a look at it.
Xing Shen enjoyer just makes me happy because I love Xing Shen. But if you guys haven't figured this out, I'm like a tank player. Yep. So whenever anybody talks about a tank, I'm like, ooh, yes, speaking my language. But clearly, I'm not in charge of the balance team because tanks have been bad for No, I was not confirming Xing Chen chat. Yeah. I was just excited to see. I think it's the first time in this show that somebody has asked for Xing Chen, and I was just excited for that. Decent question of, can we have a better anti-crit item? Because I think that spectral armor, that's the name of the item, is not as good in Smite 2. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we do need a better anti-crit item. That's fair. I'll make the note.
Question that you might have some insight to: are all the mount-related gods programming the same, or is each mount different when it comes to programming? Sorry, my chat just refreshed and I lost it right as I was reading it.
I see it. Or do we have to remake the kits from the ground up for each god?
Cool.
So we do not need to remake the kits from the ground up for each god. We can build off of the tech that we have done before. Usually there is some peculiarity to each god, though, that does require additional work. That's kind of to be expected. Yeah. But the fact that we got a Wheelish in gives us a lot of the kind of groundwork for future mounted gods, and should make those easier. But like, somebody like Guan Yu, who I have previously confirmed is coming to the game, and I'm excited about because I like tanks, is a very different kind of mount than a Wheelish is. We can ride off of that tag,
Oh my gosh!
Right off of that tech.
Peace out.
But we can't use it exactly, right? It can build from what there was.
Cool. All right. Well, we are at 2 p.m. So let's do one
more question. Sorry, I was late. Right? I was delayed.
I saw Alani check multiple times. Both Killgoon and I have pink slush today.
Slush. And
before we get into it, this is a big deal.
This is a big deal, chat. Okay, I was just casually browsing the internet this week. This weekend. Having a nice little Sunday, hanging out with my baby, when I saw an article on the internet that Celsius is going to acquire Alani Nu. What the heck?
Right? Yeah.
$1.8 billion. Celsius is
the
buying
drinks
Alani.
are good,
So apparently Alani is still going to be a brand, but yeah, I'm worried about the future of this company.
Right, yeah.
I would be less worried if they sponsored our show.
Exactly,
but,
Oh, man. Cool. All right. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, not a sponsor. This is not actually a sponsor, guys. We just think this is a funny bit. Should I be spicy? There's I'll be a little spicy.
Cool.
There's a question saying Merlin ETA, and I would say sooner than you may be expecting.
Yeah, there you go. It's nothing like a little bit of spice to end the show,
Just a little spicy, not ultra spicy.
Was it intended for Zeus's ult to block Rama's view? No, and that should be fixed this update. So if you run into that issue again after today, let us know. Seeing a lot of bug reports come in. Reaper not showing stacks on auto attacks. Bracer not showing stacks at all. Take a mental note for that. Talk to design. Thank you, Afro or Troll. All right, and then I'll pick one real question.
Yeah, I should pick a real one too. I will pick this real one because this is a good question that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Any updates to Pro Play? No updates yet. We are still working through some, kind of competitive outlets with cash pricing, right? Like there's not going to be a full Pro League, in the near term at least. It's something we'd love to get back to at some point in time, but that's not on the cards right now. We will be talking more about again, want to make sure there is a competitive outlet with cash pricing and people have something to compete for, and we are working towards that.
Let's see.
In-game tournaments, we would like to give people more ways to compete in-game as well. I will say the full in-game tournament system is it's a big lift, but we think there are some interesting things that we can do that are interesting there. So,
yeah. Let's see. Founders packs are on sale, but not the in-game upgrade. Is this intentional? I don't think that is intentional. I know there's currently a Steam sale happening and a PlayStation sale.
We probably messed
I know
up.
Dale walked in and they're looking into the upgrade, specifically the in-game upgrade path, not showing the correct pricing. So I know that's something on.
So you think they may be on sale, but it's not showing until you click on it, or
right?
Is it...
So they are definitely on sale, but
okay.
It's not showing in-game on the Founders page. If that makes sense.
Okay.
If you go just to the Smite 2 Steam store page, you should see all the correct pricing, but there is an issue to where those prices aren't displayed accurately in-game on the store page after clicking Founders Edition. So I know the crew is looking into that.
Cool.
Well, I think that's it. We can call that our show today. Killgoon, thanks so much for joining me. Chat, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back on Wednesday for another edition of Titan Talk.
Get your fill of Isiah before he's on vacation.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and get your fill of Open Beta 4 that released.
Slam some Qs.
Slam some Qs. Come back on Wednesday. Bring us your feedback. How are tanks feeling? How's Artemis feeling? How's Thor's Aspect feeling? How are you digging the new items? And we'll be back on Wednesday to chat some more. But until then, we will see you all on the battleground. Peace.